Hello, General Hospital today will reveal the return of Peter August has sent shockwaves across the General Hospital fandom, reigniting the suspense and emotional trauma long associated with Anna Devane's past. When Wes Ramsey reappeared on screen last week, fans were quick to speculate whether this was a full-fledged resurrection or merely the fractured imaginings of a woman trapped between memory and delusion. Either way, Peter's face emerging from the shadows of Anna's psyche has already proven that some ghosts never stay buried, especially when Anna is the one haunted by them. The illusion may have been confined to her mind, but its effects are dangerously real. The question remains, if the hallucination feels this vivid, could there be something deeper at play? Anna's grasp on reality seems increasingly tenuous, and as she wrestles with the auditory hallucinations echoing through the island's speaker system, most notably the unmistakable voice of Caesar Fison, her denial gives way to dread. At first, she insisted that it couldn't be him. That voice, so cruel and controlling, belonged to a past she believed had been put to rest. But now, with every flicker of sound and shadow, doubt has set in. The isolation of the island has eroded her confidence, and while she tries to maintain control, the lines between reality and projection blur ominously. The re-emergence of Peter in her mind has only amplified this unraveling, forcing her to confront unresolved fears and the possibility that what she's experiencing might be more than a psychological episode. Meanwhile, the phantom presence of Liesl adds another layer of confusion to Anna's ordeal. Though there's been no evidence of Lyle's physical presence on Spoon Island, Anna remains convinced she caught a glimpse of once unpredictable doctor lurking nearby. Could her mind, so desperate for a recognizable face, be conjuring Liesl as a subconscious cry for help? Or worse, could Liesl somehow be entangled in a web that Anna can't fully see? Perhaps once again under the manipulation of the late Caesar Fison's lingering influence? The ambiguity is suffocating, as Anna wades through memories and fabricated visions that feel indistinguishable from reality. There are troubling implications to consider if Anna truly believes Liesl was involved. Back in Port Charles, Liesl has worked hard to redeem herself after a long history of morally dubious alliances. If Anna returns home and begins to speak of Liesl's involvement on the island, real or imagined, the fragile trust Liesl has rebuilt could be jeopardized. Her colleagues and friends may view Anna's claims with skepticism, but even the mere suggestion of complicity with Fison could destroy Lyle's credibility and unravel years of rehabilitation. That possibility hangs heavy in the balance, especially for a woman like Liesl, who is no stranger to being misunderstood and vilified. Adding to the uncertainty is this curious case of Caesar Fison's alleged recovery. Whispers of his health improving have surfaced, but no one knows whether these reports are legitimate or just part of the psychological game Anna is being subjected to. The notion that he might be still alive, orchestrating this elaborate torment from the shadows, is as terrifying as it is plausible. After all, Anna has been prey to his manipulations for decades, and the thought he could once again be pulling strings from afar is enough to paralyze even the strongest mind. Every element of this new torment feels calculated, designed to fracture her resolve and question her reality. The emotional cost of these hallucinations is steep. Anna, once the pillar of intelligence, precision, and psychological control, is now stumbling through a fog of uncertainty. The reappearance of Peter, whether phantom or physical, has unraveled her composure in a way she hadn't anticipated. Her connection to him is laced with an unresolved guilt, regret, and an unrelenting need for justice that was never fully satisfied. If Peter is truly alive, then everything she believed about closure, consequence, and justice collapses. If he is not, then Anna must confront a far more terrifying enemy, her own mind. What complicates the situation even further is Anna's deep-seated fear that no one will believe her. Port Charles is no stranger to the bizarre, but a tale of voices through speakers, ghosts of former lovers, and spectral visions of deceased enemies may stretch even their suspension of disbelief. Liesl, in particular, may be the most directly affected, as her name being associated with another scheme involving Fison could reignite old animosities and destroy the tentative peace she has fought to preserve. The irony is cruel. Anna's attempt to piece together the truth may end up dismantling the very important relationships she relies on for support. In a cruel twist of fate, Anna's pursuit of truth might drive her further into isolation. As she questions whether the Peter she saw was a figment of psychological torment or a real flesh and blood return, she also questions her place in a world that has already seen her endure more than her share of tragedy. The island has become a reflection of her fractured mind, beautiful and remote on the surface, yet riddled with secrets, betrayal, and echoes from a past she cannot silence. The resurgence of Peter August is more than a plot twist. It is a test of Anna Devane's will, sanity, and identity. And still, the most pressing question remains unanswered. If Peter was merely a vision, what message is her subconscious trying to deliver, if he is truly back? How long has he been waiting, watching, plotting, hiding in the spaces she thought were safe? And if the island has already started whispering Faison's name again, how long before Anna is pulled fully into a nightmare she once escaped? Something is shifting in the shadows of General Hospital's universe. Peter August's return, real or imagined, may only be the beginning. Before the chaos of her abduction, Anna had already been forced to confront a truth that would have once seemed impossible, even by Port Charles standards. She had accepted that Britt Westbourne and Nathan West, two people she had mourned and buried emotionally, were somehow alive again. Their reappearances did not come with clear explanations, verified timelines, or logical answers. There were no concrete details about where they had been, how they survived, or what kind of network could have facilitated such elaborate deceptions. And yet, despite the unanswered questions, Anna reached a point where disbelief became more exhausting than acceptance, and she allowed herself to believe that both Britt and Nathan had truly returned from the dead. That acceptance did not come easily, especially for someone like Anna, whose entire life has been built on intelligence, work, pattern recognition, and an almost obsessive need for truth. The idea that two deaths could have been staged so convincingly without her uncovering the truth sooner struck at the core of her confidence. Still, Nathan's return stirred something deeper than logic. As someone she once loved and trusted, his presence reignited old instincts, old loyalties, and old emotional reflexes that Anna had never fully extinguished. Even without understanding the mechanics of his survival, she found herself willing to extend him a cautious, calm, fragile level of trust. Britt's return, while shocking, felt different. Britt had always existed in a moral gray area capable of compassion but also of secrecy and self-preservation. Anna could accept Britt's survival as something rooted in desperation, science, or circumstance. Nathan, however, carried the weight of ideals, integrity, and the belief that he stood apart from the darker legacy of his bloodline. That distinction mattered to Anna, because trusting Nathan meant believing that not everyone touched by Cesar Faison's shadow was doomed to become a monster. Now, in light of everything Anna is experiencing, that trust may prove to be dangerously misplaced. As her captivity drags on and her perception of reality continues to fracture, the possibility that Britt or Nathan could be connected even indirectly to their father's long-reaching schemes becomes harder to dismiss. The thought is particularly devastating because it reframes their miraculous returns not as second chances, but as calculated moves in a larger, more sinister game. If either of them had knowledge of Cesar's plans or worse, assisted in carrying them out, then Anna's willingness to believe in redemption would become yet another weapon used against her. Among the siblings, Nathan stands at the most troubling crossroads. His sense of justice, once so clearly defined, now exists alongside unanswered questions about where his loyalties truly lie. Unlike Britt, who never pretended to be morally pure, Nathan's potential involvement would feel like a deeper betrayal precisely because he represented hope. If Anna were to discover that Nathan knowingly aligned himself with Cesar, even under coercion or manipulation, it would shatter her belief that love and goodness could survive within that family. The pain would not come only from the deception, but from realizing that she had chosen to trust him again despite every instinct warning her otherwise. Still, even the possibility of Nathan's complicity pales in comparison to the horror associated with their half-brother. Peter August, also known as Heinrich, remains the embodiment of everything cruel, obsessive, and destructive that Cesar passed down. Where Britt is conflicted and Nathan is uncertain, Peter is deliberate. His capacity for manipulation, violence, and emotional terror far exceeds anything the others are capable of. In comparison, their potential sins feel almost minor, which is a chilling realization in itself. If Peter is once again moving pieces on the board, then Britt and Nathan may not even be primary villains, but collateral figures trapped within his orbit. For Anna, this realization carries an unbearable weight. Accepting Britt and Nathan's survival required vulnerability. Questioning their motives now requires emotional self-destruction. Every memory she shares with them becomes suspect. Every moment of relief feels naive in hindsight. Her fear is no longer limited to what Cesar or Peter might do to her physically, but to what believing in the wrong people has already done to her psychologically. The idea that her compassion may have enabled her enemies cuts deeper than any threat. As the truth inches closer, Anna faces a cruel paradox. If Britt and Nathan are innocent, then her growing suspicion risks alienating the very people who could help save her. If they are guilty, then her earlier trust becomes proof that Cesar's legacy still controls her life in ways she cannot escape. Either outcome leaves her isolated, questioning her judgment, and stripped of the certainty that once defined her strength. In the end, the most terrifying possibility is not that Britt or Nathan might be involved, but that Peter remains the darkest constant among them all. If Heinrich is once again at the center of this web, then everything Anna is enduring may only be the opening act of a far more devastating reckoning, one where family, loyalty, and resurrection itself are nothing more than tools designed to break her completely. The last time Peter August was seen on General Hospital, his story appeared to have reached an undeniable and final conclusion. His death was brutal, abrupt, and born out of desperation rather than justice. Felicia Scorpio struck him with a metal bar in a moment that was neither heroic nor triumphant but raw and primal. Driven by a mother's instinct to save her daughter Maxie Jones from a man who had crossed every possible line, Peter did not die as a misunderstood villain or a tragic anti-hero. He died as a clear and present danger, a man whose obsession and instability had finally consumed him. At the time, it felt permanent, definitive, and necessary. Yet permanence has never been a guarantee in Port Charles, especially when it comes to the August Faison bloodline. Peter's death did not erase his impact, nor did it silence the psychological scars he left behind. For Anna Devane, the damage ran far deeper than fear or betrayal. The most devastating wound was emotional and existential. For a significant period of her life, Anna believed Peter was her son. That belief reshaped her decisions, softened her judgment, and left her vulnerable in ways she rarely allowed. Discovering the truth did not simply remove a lie. It collapsed an entire emotional structure she had built around it. Even after Peter's death, Anna needed time to process not just what he had done, but who she had believed him to be. Anna's recovery from that trauma was slow, uneven, and deeply internal. She had to reconcile her intelligence with her capacity for trust. Her instincts as a spy with her instincts as a mother. Peter had exploited every weakness, every unresolved longing, and every fracture in her emotional armor. Letting go of him was not as simple as accepting his death. It required Anna to forgive herself for believing in him, to mourn the son she thought she had, and to accept that the man Peter became was not something she could have prevented or saved. That kind of reckoning does not fade easily. That is why Peter's reappearance, even as a hallucination or mental projection, feels so destabilizing. Seeing his face again, hearing his presence